But anyway, hey, Bill Murray's on the phone. I'm dying to talk to him.
Okay. Okay.
I love Bill Murray. Thank you. Waiting a long time to talk to this guy.
Yeah, but the idea that I won't believe you're there unless you're in the middle being pushed around by these crazy people is nuts.
Yeah. If you're a woman, if you're an American, forget about going over there. Hey, Bill.
Howard.
Look at this.
Bill Murray.
You know Robin.
I met Robin once over by the river.
No, actually, we danced together once.
How do you forget a moment like that, Bill?
We were backstage at a concert. Steve Winwood.
I don't remember that.
How do you forget a moment like that?
Oh, Bill, we were having such a moment.
And what was Bill doing? He
was backstage on the side of the stage listening to the Stevie Winwood concert and dancing, and we were sort of dancing next to each other.
Slow dancing or fast dancing?
Fast dancing.
How far did you get with her, Bill? Did you kiss her? Did you feel her up?
See, I just remember this one time down by the river.
Ah.
I don't remember the river. What was I on?
Oh, there was some sort of something. I remember temporary trailers or something. There was some sort of a show over by the waterfront on the river there.
It was on the waterfront.
Bill, first of all, let me first say how thrilling it is to actually have you on the show, even if it's by the phone, because I'm a huge fan, and like everyone is, and it's an honor to talk to you.
Well, where are you doing your show from? Whatever happened? You used to be around, and then you went away. What happened?
Disappeared. I'm now in hiding.
Where do you do your show from?
I do it in New York City.
Weren't you doing it from Philly once, or am I imagining that?
No. I used to be on in Philly. We had a syndicated show.
And we used to visit there every once in a while.
And we would visit, but we do the show from New York. Where are you?
I'm down south.
What are you doing? You sound miserable.
No, I just was watching the news, and it's kind of, goofy news.
Were you getting depressed?
It's not depressing. It's just that you find these things out so much faster. Like it was Egypt is already over, and now it's Libya and New Zealand.
Right.
Who can keep up with it?
And Wisconsin. And you got to pick one. You got to pick one to be interested.
Which way are you going?
Wisconsin.
Okay.
Bill, are you tortured by show business?
No.
I sometimes get that feeling because this is all based on nothing except from what I read, and I get drips and drafts because, like, whenever I see something about you, I'll read and make sure I'm up on it because I'm always curious. But you always seem to me to be like one of these tortured artists. Like, you hate Hollywood. You don't want a manager. You don't want an agent. You don't go by any traditional rules of the business.
You don't live in Hollywood necessarily, do you?
Well, hate is a strong word. It's just what you need. There's a lot of I only lived in Los Angeles one time, and it was for about 9 months. And they have flowers that bloom at night. They have night blooming jasmine. That's really the high point. That's really about as good as it gets. But it's just too crowded, and the quality of life isn't so good. I always like, I come from Chicago.
Right.
And if you're an actor in Chicago, you've either got to go east or west. And so I went east, and I ended up in New York, and I like New York. I mean, I like the energy of it. In Los Angeles, you have to be sort of a self-starter, and I'm a basically lazy person. So I needed to bump into people to actually have, thoughts enter my brain, sort of creative ones.
Do you think that there's something unusual about you that most people who are in your business, filmmaking, they would almost be paranoid not to have a way to be reached? You've completely secluded yourself. In other words, I mean, I've read every famous story about you where you'll get offered a movie and for months you won't even hear about it because no one can get a hold of you and no one can get a commitment from you.
Well, I'm on your show this morning, so it's not like I'm in deep hiding. It's not like, Bin Laden or anything. But it's, I've just found that, if you had an agent, your agent will say to their secretary, get me Bill Murray, call him. And they will call your house, and they'll let the phone ring forever.
Right.
Forever. And you're sitting there in the house going, I don't want to answer the phone. And the phone will ring 79 times. And you think, what kind of person would do that to anyone? And it's just someone that is afraid to walk into the office and say, I can't reach him. They'll let it ring until lunch.
But I would think you would want the offer because let's say it's a great movie.
Why don't you want to answer the phone?
I mean, I've heard you've missed out on actual good movies because they can't get a hold of you.
Nah.
Not true.
Well, you tell me the good movies I missed out on, and I'll let you know. There's been a couple that, would have been, that I knew were going to be good movies, but, I would trade the lack of irritation for the odd movie. I don't think I've missed anything. I think if people really want you, they find you. So
right. And how does one go about finding you? In other words, if there's no publicist to call, let's say I have a script that I think is great for Bill Murray.
Well, Howard, you're just going to have to devote the rest of your life to to that.
I have to chase you down.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's interesting that he says if they want you, they find you. There's very few people in Hollywood who think somebody's looking for them.
That's true.
Well, and that's a thought.
Well, I'll tell you what. I read a story about, like after Saturday Night Live, the thing I read was that even originally Ghostbusters was written for Belushi. Belushi died, and then they said, hey, let's get Bill Murray.
Uh-huh.
And then, after the huge success of Ghostbusters, Bill was offered, this is crazy to me, you were offered the role of Han Solo in Star Wars.
I don't know, maybe.
You don't remember that?
I never heard that one. I like the job Harrison Ford did. I'm happy with him. I hear these stories all the time. It's, I was offered the Pope, being Pope, too. I turned it down. They just couldn't reach me.
I mean, that's really true. You've only heard that story, but you never heard someone say to you, I want you to be Han Solo.
Well, the papacy can be a hassle. I've heard that one lately, Han Solo. I heard Batman, too. But, these are all just...
Do you think you're a genius?
No. I mean, genius, no. I mean, I'm pretty good at what I do. I'm as good as anyone in my neighborhood.
Was the highlight of your career Saturday Night Live in the sense that you got to go on every week and do a comedy sketch, get it right on the air? I mean, movies maybe frustrate a guy like you. You're so good at improvisation.
No, movies really suit my attention span. You've got to do a take for 90 seconds or so. That's about as long as I can hold it together. But Saturday Night Live was really, I won't say anything about it except it was great fun.
It was?
But I was just still, I was just getting better. It was a great education, Saturday Night Live. Just like Second City was a great education. So that's really the, if any, calling someone a genius is like, yeah, right. But I really had great teachers and great education. So when I came out of those two places, if you really did Saturday Night Live for a few years, you can pretty much do anything.
Yeah.
And the Second City thing on top of that, it just made you very, sort of responsible for what you do, and you don't take yourself too seriously. So.
Were you in that same weird boat that when you got to Saturday Night Live? I remember your boat was the weirdest because Chevy left, you had to take over, and everyone hated you at first because they just wanted the original cast and no one wanted to give you a chance. Do you recall it being like that?
Well, like you say, hate is a strong word,
right.
But, there were a lot of people that were funny on the show. I was basically the second cop for the first, few months I was there anyway.
Right.
So it wasn't like anyone was getting, was losing sleep over me.
Oh, was it a horrible experience and pressure to sort of have to prove yourself to the world and say I'm worthy?
It's not dissimilar to like when I first went into Second City when you're the new guy on the stage and no one wants to work with you because you're an unknown quantity. They want to just work with the writers want to write at Saturday Night Live, wanted to write for the people they knew. They didn't know me. So
did you end up writing most of your own material?
Well, I ended up writing some. I mean, that's how I sort of broke through a little bit, as I wrote something with Tom Davis. And
did you ever go to Lorne Michaels and say, I find this impossible, no one wants to work with me, can you help me with this? Or did you just sit there and suck it up and take it?
Well, yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? He's got other things to do than worry about me.
That's a good attitude.
Yeah.
I would have gone crying and say, no one wants to play with me.
You're an emotional slob.
I am.
Yeah.
Do you like Lorne Michaels?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a complicated character, and he really has gotten really, really good at that job. I mean, as good as he was back then, he's a million times better at it now. He really is good at the job.
And because his strength is he finds people, puts them together, and keeps that show on the air.
Well, he keeps the people together, which is really the hard part. I mean, there are infamous people in the comedy world that had all the talent and alienated them, and they went away. But he's managed to keep good people, good writers, good actors, and good technicians. I mean, good cameramen, good lighting guys. That's a tough building to keep all the best guys in one room.
Do you still watch the show?
I'm not very regular. You know, when you work on Saturday Night Live, when you work on Saturday Night for years, you're kind of pleased to have it off. You know what I mean?
Are you? Why? Because, in other words, it brings back bad memories, or you just want...
no, it's just that it's Saturday night. You know, it's sort of free. But I watch it. I catch up with it. I'm not as organized as sitting through it. And it's, pardon me, it's a lot easier to, like my friend Jim Downey will like make discs of, he'll just send me a disc of, you got to see these ones. And he'll send me discs of the best sketches and so forth. But I think they're...
He sends you sketches that he thinks are good. Does he send you any that he thinks are bad?
Why would he do that?
Well,
no,
because
he's not like that at all. He doesn't say, look at this crap.
He doesn't.
No, he's one of the funniest people in the world, and he's, you know, Lauren, that's one guy that Lauren has kept on the show since I was there. We started the same week.
Are you upset that Lauren gets to repackage these shows and sort of redistribute them through CDs, DVDs, the specials, and constantly take your work and do it over and over again? And I would imagine you get no residuals for that, right?
Well, I don't think about the residuals too much. I mean, I just hope that everyone that needs money will have it, you know.
But do you get paid from that?
Well, I got a check once for 1 cent.
Right, and I believe
I really did. I really got a check for 1 cent once.
What
I don't pay a lot of attention to those things, and I know that someone's making real money on it. And we kid about how we've created you know a college fund for Lauren's kids, but you know he's worked very hard, and he's been very you know he has to take you know the credit for getting the show made. You know. He has to take the credit, and you know, there's people making money. There's at all levels of it. I just hope that everyone all the actors and all the writers that ever need money, and whenever that becomes the case, you know, Lauren makes sure that everyone's okay.
Do you think he's doing that? I think you're saying that somewhat sarcastically. In other words,
I'm not saying it sarcastically. I'm saying
he's not going to some of the old writers who are probably living in a.
He's a nice Jewish boy from Toronto, and you can, you know, he's vulnerable to guilt, and when people need help, he helps them.
Does he do that?
That's to my knowledge, he does. I mean, I've seen it happen. I know that it's happened.
Is there a reason?
I mean, he could spend all day looking for people to help out, you know.
Is there a reason you don't host Saturday Night Live more often? I mean, I've
done it a couple times. I like this group they have now. I think the group they have now is very, very, very good. I like these actors. These are the best actors since the first group, I think, this group they've got.
Are you in touch with Aykroyd?
Yeah.
You like him?
Yeah, he's my friend for life.
The only one, another guy who's so brilliant, I feel he's underutilized. Do you sense his frustration at all when you speak to him?
Well, he has a different life. He has a much more interesting life than many people. He has a lot of interests.
I know, with the aliens.
Not just vodka. I mean, he's selling this vodka, this Skull bottled vodka.
I know. I have some of it.
All right. Well, he has a lot of different kinds of interests. You know, he's sort of, you know, he's kind of interested in the English history, you know, and the life of the old English people. And
in other words, he doesn't need show business to keep him happy. He has so many interests.
He has a lot, you know, he's interested in ghosts, for heaven's sake. You know, he's in that whole paranormal world. He has a lot of different interests. He reads a lot. He likes to get on the road. He likes cars.
The one guy you didn't like was Chevy. That's it, right? The other ones you like.
You know, I'm okay with Chevy.
I heard
Chevy
you're not.
and we had our dust up on the show, but that was almost Oedipal, you know, or I don't know what the hell that was. That was Greek, whatever that was.
Do you see him now? You don't see him, though.
I see him. I see him. I see him at least, you know, usually once a year. I haven't seen him in a little bit, but that's because I've been busy. But he's funny. I mean, Chevy is funny. And Chevy in life is funnier than almost everyone. He can really make just walking around funny.
Yeah, so no animosities.
Huh?
Did you make love?
Well, that's what I wanted to...
Bill, did you make love to all of the women on the show? You know, Gilda...
Well, yes, of course. Of course.
Did? Were you...
He's not being serious.
Of course he is.
No, there's a couple dying when I say that. No.
You didn't make love to any of the women on the show, or you got some of them?
Oh, well, you know, it was a different time, you know, when, you know, love was important. Love is not important any longer. We know that. It's just about money.
Is it really? Are you bitter from all your marriages and divorces?
No.
You are not. But that sounded like a bitter statement. It's all about...
Oh, no, I was making a joke.
I don't think so.
Sometimes we make the jokes. It was just a